All right. I think the second favorite thing for Donnie outside of chaos on SportsGrid programming is some baseball breakdowns on a full Friday slate. A great weekend card around Major League Baseball. Some really marquee matchups. We saw that get started yesterday in certain spots. The Mets and the Braves continuing through the long weekend. And here's another one, a World Series preview. Perhaps not something we would have thought of saying just a few weeks ago, at least for the American League perspective of this conversation. That's the Houston Astros, but it's hard to say that's not a reality now. Houston, a home favorite today. Framber Valdez gets the start for the Stros. They're a favorite at home against the Dodgers. Again, LA not often booked as a dog. Gavin Stone out there for LA. They just won 3 of 4 games in their midweek set against the Giants. The Dodgers have won 6 of 7 since returning from the All-Star break. What do you like tonight in the opener in H-Town?
I got to tell you, I think I might be leaning towards an under here. I like both of these lineups, but these pitchers, I think, have been decent over the past 60 days. Take a look at Framber Valdez, going to be on his home bump. He'll certainly like that. An 88 xFIP minus over the past 2 months, a 3.18 ERA, and a 3.59 for xFIP number. That's very good. You take a look at Gavin Stone. He's not too far behind, Ben. A 93 xFIP minus and a 2.79 ERA and a 3.74 xFIP number. If we're lining up the team, talk about the Dodgers lineup 1 through 9, Ohtani, Smith, Freeman, and Hernandez have done very well against left-handed pitching over the past 60 days. Outside of that, other guys struggling. Pajes, Vargas, Hernandez, Lux, and Ahmed, not so great. Let's go over to the other side and take a look at how Gavin Stone matches up. How about this? Starting to come alive at the plate, the Houston Astros, right? Their record getting better. They're starting to hit, and they're starting to pitch better. You take a look at Altuve, Alvarez, Diaz, Singleton, Pena, and Caratini. All of those guys, elevated numbers over the past 30 days against right-handed pitching. I give the edge to Houston here, but I also think this game is going to stay under the total.
Yeah, 8.5 is that number, but the under does have the juice. The Astros have not been sensational since returning from the break. They avoided the sweep against the A's in their midweek set. Did have Thursday off. LA played on Thursday in the afternoon. Now has to travel to Houston. Another World Series preview, perhaps. It's the Guardians and the Phillies in the city of brotherly love this weekend. The Phils have lost 3 straight series on either side of the break. Not great for the Phils. So the Twins and the Pirates, since returning from the break to the Oakland Athletics before the All-Star break, and we shared the Guardians just split their 4-game set with the Detroit Tigers, but they are not playing great baseball at this moment. But it's still a World Series preview because the Phils have the best record in the National League in all of the bigs. Cleveland enters this weekend set at 61-41, tied with Baltimore for the best record in the American League. The Fightins a hefty home favorite today at minus 178. Will Philly make good on that price and take the opener?
Should be able to do that, Ben, because Sanchez is on the mound, and he is the true number 3 pitcher right now in the Philadelphia Phillies. Take a look at his season, 446 batters he's faced. How about an ISO of 077? That's not 44 batters. That's almost 450 batters. Weighted on base percentage, 283. Low walk percentage. Even over the past 30 days, ISO power number climbs, per se, to .106, which is fantastic. You take a look at the weighted on base percentage, actually drops to a 277. And you're getting Cleveland at the right time. But that offense really isn't clicking. Outside of the first 3 guys, Juan, Martinez, and Ramirez, they have high ISO power numbers. Not a lot throughout the rest of that lineup to love here, so Sanchez should be able to keep them down. Now, the question's going to come here, as I just told you. Better pitcher on the mound is Sanchez, but Lively has been average at best, a 106 xFIP minus number over the past 60 days, a 4 ERA of 4.35. But this isn't a Phillies lineup that's absolutely battering the baseball. And Lively is a right-handed pitcher, but how about this? Past 30 days, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, and Brandon Marsh. Everybody else not doing so hot. And that includes Kyle Schwarber, who you would figure left-handed batter against right-handed pitching. How about a 125 ISO? That's not Schwarber-like. How about a weighted on base percentage of 226? That's not great either. Something has to give tonight. I'm going to trust the Philadelphia Phillies playing well at home with a good pitcher on the mound. Should be able to beat the Guardians today because, again, Guardians not coming in great form here. Give me the Phillies today over the Guardians.
The Phils have lost 6 of their last 9. The Guardians have lost 8 of their last 12. Who gets the opener today in Philly? The Phils booked as a hefty favorite. Now we go to the Midwest. Kansas City taking on Chicago. The Royals fully in to wild card contention in the American League. The Cubbies, not so much. Brady Singer on the bump for the Royals. Their book is greater than $1.50 favorite at home in Kaufman. Total of 9. What's the play in KC?
Hard to back Chicago, again, until we see what's going to happen at the trade deadline and see what this team is made of, because we're expecting pieces to be sold. If you're looking for an RBI prop shot tonight and say, you know what, I don't trust Chicago to win, probably look no further than Ian Happ, switch hitter in that lineup, which means he'll be batting from the left side. Last 83 at-bats against right-handed pitching. He's got a 358 ISO and a 419 weighted on-base percentage. Brady Singer, if there's one area that he does struggle with this season, it's against left-handed batters. I think that does make some sense. Let's flip it over to Kansas City. Kyle Hendricks, certainly not my favorite pitcher by a long stretch. The one thing that's interesting with his splits, Ben, against lefties, he gets crushed. Against righties, he's actually very good. Looking at the lineup today, Adam Frazier, Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Massey, Drew Waters, Kyle Isbell. It's not a great-looking left-handed side, but also, does Bobby Witt care? He's a right-handed batter. Oh, he can't hit Kyle Hendricks. He'll probably wind up with 3 shots here. You're also getting that bump where, look, Kansas City wants to make the playoffs. Chicago wants to sell. They're probably going to win this game, but maybe RBI props, your best option at this point until we see what the Cubs are made of after the trade deadline here, Ben.
Yeah, Donnie, I think it's a really good look. KC had won 5 straight games that came to an end in their most recent matchup. Plenty more MLB breakdowns around the weekend and this Friday slate up next. History yesterday for the Padres, the Orioles avoiding a sweep to the Miami Marlins. They meet up today to start a weekend set inside Camden Yards in the Charm City. The O is a $2 home favorite. Grayson Rodriguez gets the start. Adam Mazur on the other side for San Diego. Of course, yesterday it was Dylan Cease tossing the second no-no in Padres franchise history, joining Joe Musgrove back in 2021. And the Padres playing pretty good baseball as of this moment. They've won 5 straight. The O's not necessarily their best brand of baseball. What gives today in Baltimore?
I'll tell you what gives. Baltimore getting some pretty good luck here as of late with starting pitchers they're going up against. Yesterday, Roderick Munoz, by far the worst pitcher on the card. They hammer him. They end up scoring 7 total runs in that game. We might have a repeat performance. And as we said, like San Diego had a no-hitter yesterday. That no-hitter might last only 1 batter today because Adam Mazur, take a look at this. 28 pitchers active on the card today with at least 20 innings pitched over the past 60 days. He's got a 149 xFIP minus. If you don't like that number, how about you're an ERA guy? 7.8 over the past 60 days. How about an xFIP number? 6.03. You like Sierra numbers, skill and or active ERA? 5.86. Every single category, he is the worst. So you see yesterday, 7 runs plated for the Orioles. I'm expecting 5+ runs at least once again for the Baltimore Orioles today. Forget about the side, forget about the total. Just focus on Baltimore. They should pound Adam Mazur today.
The O's now 61-41, tied for the best record in the American League alongside Cleveland. San Diego on this 5-game win streak now has a half-game advantage over St. Louis for the 3rd and final National League wild card spot. Rivalry weekend inside Fenway between the Red Sox and the Yankees. Boston has won 4 of the 6 regular season matchups against New York so far this year. The Yanks, who were swept against their other rivals, their in-city rivals, the New York Mets, this season in all 4 games, trying not to have that be the case where they struggle in their biggest matchups against their biggest rivals. They are road favorites today. Nestor Cortez gets the start for the Pinstripes. It's a -118 number. 9.5 the total in Fenway. Might we see some offense tonight in Beantown?
Oh, I think we do, and that 9.5 is certainly an indicator there. 2 pitchers that can certainly be had tonight. Talking about 78-degree temperatures up in Boston. Light winds blowing won't affect the baseball either way. The only problem is which form are we coming into? The Boston Red Sox ain't looking that great as of late. You take a look at the New York Yankees, just coming off the Subway Series, now having to get up here for another rivalry there in the Boston Red Sox. For me, there's no real angle in this. Nestor Cortez is going to be the starter. He's a left-handed pitcher. He's actually very, very good against left-handed batters, which when you're looking at this lineup, it's dead Devers, it's Duran. You want to quiet those guys down. We'll see if we can. But he is really susceptible, Ben, to right-handed batters, which means a 438 ISO power number the last 72 batters, a 493 weighted on base percentage. How can you trust that at this point? So just coming down to simplistic, right? Bello's not a great pitcher by any stretch, and the Yankees should be able to score as well. So I just say, who's getting plus money? Oh, the home team is? Yeah, give me the home team in this environment here. I'll take the Boston Red Sox.
The Red Sox have lost 5 of 6 since the All-Star break. Swept last weekend by the Dodgers in L.A. They dropped 2 of 3 at Coors Field to the Rockies. In their most recent game, Colorado put up 20 against Boston. Now we go to Citi Field, where the good times just keep rolling for the New York Mets, 32-18 in the last 2 months. And how do things get even better? Kodai Senga makes his 2024 MLB debut today. It's his first start of the season. Last year, in his opening year in the bigs with the Mets, he had a 2.98 ERA. That was 5th best in all of the major leagues. They're the favorite. Are the Amazons today at home against Atlanta? Yesterday, it was the Braves as the road favorite, and the Mets won as an underdog. What do you like in game number 2 of this set at Citi Field?
It's the Atlanta Braves. You scroll past that column that says which money line do you want to take, and you just take a look at that total and say 7.5. I don't think they get 8 runs here. Charlie Morton's been a decent pitcher here, but he is very susceptible to right-handed batters. You got some pretty good power-hitting batters in that right-hand side. Obviously, J.D. Martinez, Pete Alonso, Vientos in the middle of that lineup. You get the picture. But the problem is going to be is like, hey, what are you getting out of Kodai Senga? What do you need out of him? If he goes 4 innings pitched, he gives it like 1 earned run. Like, that's like a great offensive performance for the Atlanta Braves, it feels, from a time-to-time basis. I just look at the rosters and say, sometimes you have to ride the momentum. The Mets are in much better form. They're going to get a bump by seeing Senga out there, unless he's coming back into the rotation. And by the way, I do say this because Kodai Senga, on his warm-up starts, a couple decent ones. You know his last one, Ben? 3 innings pitched, 19 total batters, 5 earned runs and 3 walks here with only 1 strikeout. So it's not as if he's coming off I just went 6 innings pitched, nobody touched me in the minor league system. Let's get after it here. Yeah. He really struggled in that last start, but still, it's the Atlanta Braves. He's back in Major League Baseball. I think the under happens. I don't know if I lean towards the Mets, but I certainly don't want to put any money on the Atlanta Braves right now. You just can't trust that baseball team.
A couple of rarities in this Major League Baseball season, both on display today. The Braves and the Dodgers are both booked as an underdog. It will be game 10 this year for the Dodgers, the least amount in the bigs booked as an underdog. It will be game 12 as an underdog for Atlanta. Neither good as the dog. The Braves so far this year, 4-7 straight up. LA 3-6. When they're booked as an underdog, it is for a reason. If the Mets win, booked as a home money line favorite, they can leapfrog the Braves for the number 1 spot in the National League wild card race, because there are 6 teams right now, including Atlanta, New York, St. Louis, San Diego, Arizona, and Pittsburgh, that are separated by just 2.5 games for all 3 of the National League wild card spots. And speaking of Arizona and Pittsburgh, they square off this weekend in the desert. The Diamondbacks a -174 favorite for the opener.
By the way, you look at this lineup today for Arizona against right-handed pitching. They have been absolutely scorching hot. Just about every single player in that lineup. 8 guys above average ISO power number. 8 guys above average weighted on base percentage going up against righties. But how about Luis Ortiz? You know, we talk about so many times Paul Skeens and some other pitchers they have. Take a look at his last 60 days, Ben. An 83 xFIP minus, elite. A 1.97 ERA, elite. An xFIP number, 3.31. So that a hot lineup going against a very good pitcher, that should be interesting. Flip it over quickly to the other side, and you say Zach Gallen's over there? We're probably looking at an under. But this feels like a playoff baseball game with 2 teams that might be playing for one of those wild card spots. I like where we see maybe an under is in the best interest out there.
No doubt about it. DRS, we send you into your weekend early. I guess not that early. The money line starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. He's frozen. He's gone. More TEL next.